So what's up, folks? This is LB, the realist with Surrealistic Studio, Surreal News, where the real is surreal. I'm hoping everyone can hear me properly. I'm trying not to speak so loud because, you know, there's other people around, and quite frankly, I do my best work when I feel as though I'm in solitude. So, um, I don't blame Bernie Sanders and other politicians for voting for this latest stimulus bill, um, this pandemic bill that they passed recently. There's a lot of talk and a lot of frustration, a lot of anger from supporters and people that called this bill a big slush fund for corporations because it gives them $500 billion for large businesses such as the airline industry or the travel industry, and it doesn't give a lot of, I guess, transparency on how that money is going to be divvied, I should say, and how much is going where, and you know, so it basically doesn't leave a lot of room for transparency. So that was one of the elements that people didn't like that was in the bill. Another element is the stipulation that in order for small businesses to keep the money from the loans that they're giving them, they have to keep their employees. And this is businesses with 500 employees or less, I believe. And if you have 500 or more employees, you know, the large corporations, they're exempt from that rule. So they don't have to hire back any of the employees that they let go. You know, so there was a lot in this bill that, you know, it really didn't make a lot of sense, you know, such as giving money to these large corporations anyways. I mean, how long have they been doing business, and now we're just giving them a huge bailout for a couple months or a few months worth of, you know, worth of interruption. And people, the actual workers of these businesses, the people that make the businesses go around, make the money for the business, they're the ones that are living paycheck to paycheck. And the people only get $1,200, a one-time payment of $1,200, and an increase in unemployment benefits. And the increase in unemployment benefits, the Republicans fought hard against that. That almost held up the bill again, because this bill was held up multiple times. So there was a lot wrong with the bill. There's some good in the bill, the $1,200 for individuals, as well as the money for small businesses, and, you know, the unemployment insurance increase. All good and well. Is it enough? Not nearly enough. Quite frankly, it is insulting. It is insulting that they came back, you know, on a $2 trillion bill. They came back and decided to only give the people $1,200 a piece. And they made it a one-time payment. You know, I had somebody on Twitter call me greedy or something because I said that $1,200, as well as many other people, think that $1,200 is not enough. A one-time payment is not enough to help us through this pandemic. You know, and they call me greedy. Well, we pay into this. And from what I'm hearing, this is a tax credit, honestly. This is a down payment on a future tax credit that we're going to be receiving. So, you know, I'm a citizen. We all pay taxes. You work, you pay taxes, you pay into this. You know, people always have a problem with free money and free this and free that, and they call us socialists because we want what we're owed, or we want what we pay in to get. You know, like Medicare, just for for the elderly, we want Medicare for all people, not just the elderly. Social Security, why not give everybody a universal basic income? You know, we give our elderly a check to you know, survive, and that's not enough really to survive on, but we give them something. Why not give everybody a UBI? There's things that we can do, and we know we can do it because we're experimenting with it now. You know, we've had the discussions, we've had the studies. We know what the right thing is to do. It's just that they lack the political will to get it done. So they say that this bill is even worse than the bill that was signed by Barack Obama when they bailed out Wall Street and the big banks. And maybe that's true. Technically, quite honestly, I'm not as savvy as I should be on this subject as far as what exactly is in it and how the money will be used to screw us in the end, basically. I'm still learning all of this stuff. I'm learning every single day. Every time I read an article, or every time I watch an informative video, or every time I talk to somebody who knows a lot more than me about these subjects and politics in general. But I can't in good conscience blame anybody who voted for this bill, even though, people like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they railed against this bill, just like Bernie Sanders railed against the crime bill back in the day, even though he did, in fact, vote for it. And I honestly think that they should be held accountable for their votes on this bill. But I can't in good conscience blame them and just put all of the blame on them and say that they're worthless for voting for this bill, or they screwed us over with this bill, because they were arguing against it like they knew. But at the same time, if they didn't vote for this bill, they would have been accused of holding up cash payments to Americans. They would have been accused of holding up the small business loans and the help for our small businesses, and for all these businesses that had to let go employees. Like, people are suffering right now. They've been suffering. If we had a UBI before the pandemic, we wouldn't be in such a predicament now. People were doing badly before the pandemic happened. Like, this is why we need an emergency UPI, because we weren't doing great before it happened. Just a month or two out of work shouldn't be enough to totally derail America. But that's exactly what's happening, because nobody was ready. Nobody, like, they've done studies on this. Not too many people have an extra $500, an extra $1,000 for an emergency, an abrupt emergency out of nowhere. People are going bankrupt. People are losing jobs, losing their money, losing their homes, getting kicked out of their apartments, in unimaginable debt. Student loan crisis is out the, like, this is just, it's too much. The stress and the insanity that we put ourselves through is too much. And I understand why somebody would vote for that bill to hurry up and expedite this process, to hurry up and get cash into the hands of American citizens, to hurry up and get these small businesses the help that they need to get through this pandemic. I don't think that we should excuse the votes. I just think that we should understand why they voted for it, and under the kind of pressure that they were being put under. Now, don't get me wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and this bill was all the way wrong. It had some good stuff in it, but it wasn't a bill for you or me. It was a bill for the giant corporations. $2 trillion that actually is more of, from what I'm hearing, more like $6.2 trillion when it all, because they give, how much they give, a certain amount of money. I forget the amount. They give a certain amount of money to an organization, and then that releases trillions of dollars. So it's like a down payment. So how much of that 6.2 trillion do you think we're going to see if we're only getting one-time payment of $1,200? So I don't blame Bernie Sanders for voting for this, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or any of our politicians, considering the fact that it would have held up cash payments. It would have held up, the assistance for everyone. I do think that they could have fought harder in letting it be known what exactly is in this bill and what exactly this bill accomplishes. And again, who exactly this bill is for. Because a month or two of slowed down business for airlines and cruise lines, and somehow they get the bulk of the amount of money that's in this bill. They get 500 billion that turns into 6.2 trillion. So let me know how that works. Yeah, so they say they're going to come back on another bill, but right now they're on a recess until 420. Whoop, whoop. So they're on a recess until 420. That's when they'll get back to work. This is what our politicians do in the middle of a pandemic. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video if you like, share it, and subscribe. You can find me on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that jazz. Until next time, love, peace, and light. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out.